Hello and welcome to the MVCBP E4.
E4 is what we're on.
We have a good podcast planned for you, I hope. I think we're going to be talking about a little sweepstakes that we've entered. I think we're going to be talking about, maybe some personal projects we're working on.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to talk about,
Well, kind of a day in the life, I'd say.
Sure.
This is not to be honest, we didn't, full disclosure, have a lot of time this week to prepare something specific, intense, or anything. I mean, we just finished up Coming Back for You. Actually, two versions of Coming Back for You.
That's right.
We had the initial, and then we had the remastered edition, which we're very excited about. I think we did a good job remastering it. Hopefully, maybe a 10th anniversary release of our cover of V, we would have a completely remastered version, which would be incredible. It'd be very good.
And you see a lot of major label artists now kind of going towards more of a remastered kind of model for maybe instead of making another album, why not do a remaster? I mean, everyone knows the songs. They sound even better than ever.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen this treatment from some of the biggest stars, like, say, AC/DC,
Mm-hmm.
the Rolling Stones.
Mm-hmm. I'm
think,
sure the Beatles have probably done.
I think the Beatles have done a couple. I want to say even some of the pop stars, like Ed Sheeran, maybe have started moving in this direction. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know if Ed has done any remastered albums, but
He will. Mark my words. That's a prediction.
probably. Yeah, I mean, give it 10, 15 years even. Yeah,
Divide is going to have a remaster one day. It's going to be great.
I hope so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised Maroon 5 hasn't remastered any of their songs. I mean, you'd
I've
think
thought
at
about
least
that.
Songs of Jane or Songs About Jane would have a remaster. Right?
Yeah, I mean, some of the mixes there, they're good, but, perhaps a revisit, some of the technology that's been developed in the, maybe 15 years since Songs About Jane came out.
Yeah.
Some of that new technology with, the different instruments that have come out.
And they've grown so much as a band, and they've learned so much that I'm sure they would bring some of that to the table in a remastered edition.
I'd like to hear, a Songs About Jane that had more of a synth focus, maybe
that could be great.
Maybe more whistling, the whistle part of Moves Like Jagger. Yeah, I think could really complement some of the compositions.
I could see that maybe in This Love.
That'd be
whistling.
great.
That would be...
I mean...
Because it has a... Yeah, well...
I can't whistle, but, hypothetically.
I'll probably do the whistling for
yeah.
Moves Like Jagger when we get around to covering it.
Jealous.
Yeah, it's going to be... I've been practicing for sure. I'm not the best
My father
whistler.
never taught me how to whistle, so I just didn't really catch up with the other kids on that one. But I can snap my fingers, so that one I taught myself. So.
Yeah, and they're finger snapping good songs.
I think there are some Maroon 5 songs I believe that have finger snaps in the beat, so I could maybe tackle some of those parts.
I would love that. I think we could really use that. Do we want to talk about the sweepstakes that we...
Let's talk about the sweepstakes.
Very excited about this. I think we've got a good chance.
I believe we've been able to pull close to 1,000 entries.
I think it's 1,200, correct?
That sounds correct.
We both bought. They had a deal. So if you spend a certain amount of money.
So let's back up. These sweepstakes are sweepstakes to see Maroon 5 perform in LA.
I'm so
It's
excited.
a getaway for two, fully covered flights and hotel room and VIP concert tickets. So hopefully, I assume VIP means you would get some time with the band members. I mean, hopefully, Adam, I wouldn't mind hanging out with the boys, but and we entered. I mean, we thought it was pretty important as a band, so we put a good amount of money into it. We both dropped $50, which, I mean, given as how I'm now unemployed, that's nothing to sneeze at. So
Right.
we kind of dropped that. I think as Zach was explaining, there was some kind of special deal.
Yeah, so if you what's it called? Not entered in 50. If you donated 50 and the cause is great. It's cancer awareness and goes to cancer research. So win or lose, it's going to a good cause, which I feel very comfortable with. So if you donate $50, you get 600 actually entries. But if we had just both bought 100, then we only would have gotten 1,000. So we were like, oh, this is a great opportunity. So instead of collectively spending $100, let's both spend 50 and get 1,200 entries. So I think we have a good shot at winning. I mean, that's 1,200 entries. That's crazy.
I mean,
who else is spending $50? I mean,
we're dedicated. 100. We're dedicated to the cause, and to your point about charity, I feel like since we've entered, I do feel more aware of cancer in a lot of ways since we entered, and kind of how it affects not just women, with the breast cancer, but also I think there's kind of like forms of children's cancer.
There's a lot of cancers.
And all kinds of cancers. So I just feel like my awareness has really been heightened, and my heart's been touched, and I hope that we can, continue to be aware of cancer for many years.
And I think Adam and crew are definitely helping to make that a more aware problem in the society that should not. It should be eliminated.
I mean, wake up. Yeah. Cancer's here.
Yep. Absolutely. So all that is to say, we're very excited to hopefully be going to California here in the next couple of weeks. I'm just waiting on my email. I keep refreshing my inbox, and
me too.
Nothing yet, but hopefully soon.
I think they're kind of holding off so that the suspense builds. It's like in I don't know if you've ever seen cooking shows, like
Chopped.
Chopped.
I've seen Chopped. Yes.
Where they kind of build the suspense where like it'll cut to a commercial. I think that's kind of what we're seeing with
right.
These.
We're sort of in the commercial.
We're kind of in the commercial break period. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Analogy.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So very, very pumped about that. We're wrapping up V actually.
Very close.
We only have 2 songs left, gang.
We have a special surprise guest we're hoping to announce soon.
We do.
For one of those 2.
We're not going to spoil the.
We're not gonna
spoil who it is, but
we're not going to be a spoiler.
No.
I mean that's a big thing now. Like I know with like some of the Gen Z type people like spoiler alerts like on TikTok and stuff.
Oh, like for movies and TV and stuff.
Sometimes books. Yeah. I mean,
like they'll say spoiler alert. Well, I'm not going to say any spoilers, but
right. Yeah,
let's make up a movie. So
that kind of goes against the culture. But let's say hypothetically there was a movie. Let's say it was a sci-fi epic. Let's say the protagonist. The villain was actually the protagonist's father in this hypothetical world. That would be like a spoiler. To say, oh, the protagonist's father is the villain.
I think that's been done before. Isn't that just Star Wars?
Well, I mean, a spoiler alert, but I mean, I was just trying to, every narrative's been done before. I mean, there's probably 1,000 stories where the villain's, the person's father. It's like, I think in the Bible, isn't that like Jesus' father is Satan, right? I'm sorry, no, it's God.
Well, I guess Satan is not.
I guess God the Father is Jesus' father. So I guess Satan is, I think, a father of one of the apostles, I think.
No, that's completely incorrect.
Sure, but I mean, hypothetically, it could be. So or there could be another story in the Bible, like in the story of Joseph, I think his father is.
Many Dreamcoat. Technicolor Dreamcoat.
In the story of Joseph, I think his father maybe banishes him or something. So it's kind of like an evil father narrative. Or also, I thought that Joseph was Jesus' father. I'm kind of confused on that point. But Regardless, I'm not a big theologian.
Right.
I'm not a big theologian, but I have faith.
I do as well. We might want to keep the faith out of the podcast though for now.
Like for political reasons.
Well, not just political reasons. The focus should really be on Maroon 5 and the crew and Adam and such.
Well, I think you see a lot of Christian themes in their songs, like for instance, in Lost Stars when he says, it's hunting season and the lambs are on the run. That's kind of actually a biblical image.
You got me. Yeah, no, that definitely has a theological
with the lamb.
Sort of right. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think I'm okay with discussing theology and religion and such in the context of the songs. I think Lost Stars is a great song to unpack. I would love to do maybe a 10-part series on Lost Stars. I think it has that much depth to it.
Yeah, like a lecture series almost. Like a conversation, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
it's a deep song. It's a very deep song.
And I want to be clear, I am deeply Christian, but I'm also I'm very spiritual, and so I think there's a lot of beautiful faiths out there, even if they're wrong, in my opinion. I think they're really beautiful. I know some forms of Buddhism I hear are very beautiful. I guess it's a main one.
Well, Star Wars actually kind of has a Buddhist theme.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
So,
and that's a great example.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Buddha was a fun guy from what I've seen. Statues.
Yeah.
So, I can respect, that culture, as a Christian, as someone that's spiritual. And, I don't just, I am Christian, but I also think that, the universe itself is almost like God in a sense, if you really think about it. So, I kind of think about how when you look at planets, it's like you're looking at the face of God. I haven't done a lot of hallucinogenic drugs in my life, but I've had friends who have, and sometimes, when I drink alcohol, I feel like it's kind of a similar effect where I feel like the universe is almost cradling me in its arms in a sense, Jesus is there, but also maybe the Milky Way.
Wait, so you hallucinate when you drink?
Well, I wouldn't say I hallucinate. I would say,
how much? Are you blacking out, or?
Well, that's a strong term. Let's say that, let's say maybe my sense of time gets a little disrupted. Let's say maybe I don't always remember everything. I'm kind of coming in and out of, I'm not really sure where I am. I don't remember anything before it. That's
blacking out.
Well, I thought blacking out was when you, passed out. So, I think I'm still active. I just don't always remember it.
Right, it sounds like you're blacking out.
Well, sure. You can call it whatever you want, but
when is the last time you? We might have to put the podcast aside for right now. When is the last time you hallucinated, if you will, saw Jesus in the Milky Way?
I'm not saying I see them every time. Sometimes I see them, not usually when I'm sober, but when I'm, sober-ish. So, it's kind of an unfair question, and it's not like this happens to me every night or anything. It's probably been almost a week at this point.
Oh, God. Huh.
Which I think is, pretty, we can, it's like Jesus said, don't judge lest you be judged. Don't judge.
Yeah, right.
Unless you want to be judged.
Right, I'm familiar with the phrase.
So, not to get all biblical, but I just feel like everyone experiences God differently. I experience God
through heavy drinking.
Sure.
I'm not trying to judge you.
Sure.
I think that this is potentially a problem. You might want to talk to your doctor about maybe how much.
Oh, okay.
I'm not telling you what to do.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know as a friend. Maybe you shouldn't be blacking out.
Well, everyone has a different limit. I could say
I'm a lightweight. I'll raise my hand up.
And let's be honest. When we went to Florida, there were times where you were,
I was tipsy.
Yeah, belligerent.
Well, I mean, I
remember when I was trying to get you into that bar and you didn't want to go because you were too drunk. I mean, it's kind of like.
I didn't want to get more drunk. That's why I didn't go.
Sure, but I mean, it's just kind of affecting your life at that point, you know, and you're.
Well, I was on vacation as well. I mean, like.
Sure, but I mean, like, it's a pretty different lifestyle, you know, of being so drunk you have to go home after, you know, the second bar.
Well, to be clear,
so,
I wasn't belligerent. I mean, I was tipsy, if you will, but instead of jumping to another bar, I was like, oh, I think I should settle down. You know, we don't have fun, but...
Well, you know, we were back together, so, I mean, you know, I don't mean to bring it up, but the point of all this, I mean, stepping back, you know, this is not an intervention. I want to make it clear to the audience.
No, this is not.
Zach isn't trying to say that I have a drinking problem, which I don't.
I'm just, for your own health and safety...
Were you a doctor?
I'm not a doctor, but I care about you. I care about the success of this band. I want it to continue going, and I would hate... to see something awful happen to you because you're, you know...
Well, that's very touching. I mean, it's unnecessary, but it's very touching. And, you know, in conclusion, I guess I see the universe is kind of connected, much in the way that, say, Adam Levine is connected to his band members. So if you think about it like Adam Levine kind of as the universe itself, you know, maybe the drummer would be like Orion's belt, and maybe like the guitarist would be, you know, Earth, and then maybe like you got Jesus Christ on bass.
Yeah.
You know, when you know, maybe Buddha could be there too. I mean, in a lesser role.
Sure.
And
we're
so
getting philosophical. I love it.
So the universe is kind of in harmony, and you know, I think that like, I guess it just makes me kind of emotional to think about, you know, because I think a lot of people just don't realize that all you can really, you know, do in life is just feel. You know, I think that people get really caught up in thinking, and I think that feeling is really the primary emotion in life. You know, feeling love, feeling happy, feeling
loss
feeling lost, feeling sad, feeling angry, you know, feeling just totally crushed, like there's nothing left and there's nowhere to go, and then realizing that you're not alone. And it's just, you know, I think that a lot of people, I mean, kids these days, you know, they just, I mean, they're doing heroin by the needle load. They're, you know, fucking under the stairs after class. I mean, you know, which I did once or twice, but you know, they're doing it every day, and so it's like, you know, when I think about these lost kids, it's like, you know, what do they need? Well, they need, ultimately they need, I think they need love, and they need feelings, and you know, it makes me sad to think about, you know, trying to numb the pain in that kind of substance abuse, you know, because, you know, all you really need is love. And
the Beatles.
Yes, it's a lot like the Beatles, which, I mean, not a huge fan of their music personally, but I think they had some good messages, you know. I just think maybe...
Have you heard Imagine?
Imagine, I think, is kind of the exception for me in the Beatles discography, because I think you just see just the meaning dripping off of John's voice, and just the overall message.
It's a deep song.
You know, I think of a Beatles song like say "Here Comes the Sun," and I think I might as well be listening to a weather report. You know.
Well, it's he's not literally talking about the sun. It's kind of
sure, it's like you know, it's like a poem about the sun, where it's like there's kind of
no. I think you're taking it too literally. It's not. Oh, the sun is literally you know, rising.
Sure.
it's like, oh, here comes the sun. Like, oh, there's a silver lining, right? Are you familiar
In
with
the
phrase?
sun?
No. It's okay. So, are you familiar with? Do you know the phrase "there's a silver lining to everything" or whatever?
Yeah, it means like there's something special about everything.
In a sense, sure, or a light at the end of the tunnel,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. I think that's kind of what "Here Comes the Sun" is about. Is, oh, here comes the light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, it's really giving me a fascinating perspective on it.
Yeah. There's a lot.
Maybe I'll revisit their catalog.
You really should. I was gonna say the Imagine. It's called Imagine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine all the people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful song. Very introspective. Very interesting. You could do a 20-part series possibly on that, but I think
At least.
Imagine is probably the Beatles equivalent of Lost Stars.
In many ways, I'd
Yeah.
say, where it's like it's so dense and meaningful, and I mean, just imagine, no pun intended, the kind of impact that this song has had on children, for instance.
Yeah, I remember when my parents would listen to Imagine, the Beatles in the car. I was kind of reflecting on. I mean, even as a child, I recognized this was something truly great and impactful. And so similarly, I, like my parents, I'd kind of like to take up the baton, not for the Beatles, but for Maroon 5. And kind of one of those things where if someone does get into Maroon 5 through MVCB, which would be incredible.
Yes.
I would love to lead people.
That's a dream.
Yeah, leading people to Adam and Crew would be a beautiful thing. I think in some ways, using the Christian terminology, it is similar to a Christian leading someone to Christ.
In many ways, yeah. I think we're kind of a gospel of the universe, of Adam and everything he's taught us. I mean, it's kind of like if you think of Adam as like, I don't want to necessarily say Jesus, but maybe Buddha or one of the apostles.
Right.
We're kind of spreading their teachings. Regardless.
In the Bible, there's this thing. Again, I don't want to talk too much about religion, but I think here it's actually a great analogy for sort of boosting our conversation about Adam and Crew. So in the Bible, there's this thing called the Great Commission, and it's Christians, or Christ calls his followers to go out and spread the gospel, as he puts it. And in some ways, I like to think that we're sort of doing that with Adam. No, Adam did not specifically call us to spread his messages and truth and meaning throughout the universe, but I'd like to think that he would. If he knew us, I'd like to think that he would look at us fondly and say, "Wow, well done. You're really doing good in the earth."
I certainly hope so. I mean, I would just start crying. I mean, I usually don't cry, but I mean that kind of emotion. So wow.
I'm hoping that we get the chance to
meet him with this.
Wouldn't that be incredible to be able to perform a song for Adam and Crew? I mean,
I would give anything. I mean, I would sell my house. Well, I don't own a house. I'm actually staying with my uncle now. But if I had a house, I'd sell my house. I mean, I would give away the money that I have now. I mean, mostly unemployment checks that are coming in. But yeah, I mean, I would even consider. I mean, I'm not saying it's necessarily good, but I mean, it'd be hard not to consider even giving up someone in my life. Sacrificing them to meet Adam, because that's just that's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and that's the kind of stuff that I think that, for instance, if I ever reconnected with my dad, much later in life, and he kind of asked me what I'd done with my life, I could kind of be like, well, I performed a song for Adam Levine, and I think that that's something we could, that's a moment we could have.
Yeah, no, that's...
I think that's a moment that, we could just share, and I think that, I think it would just be important. I think it would show him that, the kind of success that I've been able to have, in our time apart.
Yeah, I think that would be a beautiful moment connection between you guys. I wish that for you someday.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
Yeah. Have you tried looking up on Facebook?
On Facebook, I have tried, and I have located him. So he's living in Florida.
We should have visited him.
Yeah, I mean, he was, he wasn't in Miami. He was in, I believe he's in, what's the big city?
Orlando?
Yeah, he's in Orlando.
Oh.
He's, I believe he's remarried, a couple of, kids who are not his kids, that kind of thing. What are they called? Second kids.
It's like
kids.
cheaper by the dozen, if you've seen that movie.
Well, it's not that many kids. I think it's 2, but otherwise it's like that. So, I've thought about reaching out. I've typed a message, but I guess, I'm in a place in my life right now where I'm trying to become the person that I want to be. I think that, since losing my job, I've really kind of rethought a lot of things, and I've actually taken. I've actually taken some words of yours into account where, we were talking about your job as a type designer, a graphic designer.
Yes, right.
And we were talking about cars and things I could do, and I kind of was thinking about our conversation we had about tire design, and you kind of pointed me towards the different options for the the tread, if you will. And so since losing my job, I'm fortunate enough to be in unemployment. I also moved out of the apartment with Helen. With a bit of a break. We weren't in a place where I think we were super compatible. I think maybe one day if her mother died, it might work a little better, but
well, I don't think you want to necessarily wish that upon her.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not waiting by the phone for her mother to die. I'm just saying, she kind of has a weird, close relationship with her mom. So I'm just kind of backing off and just kind of hoping once that's run its course, or maybe her mother passes away, maybe saying, not anytime soon, maybe 10 years, maybe we could reconnect, but the truth is that I think that there are a lot of other flaws in the relationship, and we both kind of decided that it was better if I, move on that chapter in my life. So I still carry a picture of her in my wallet, as I re-enter the dating scene, that's probably going to be more of a sock drawer thing, but for now it's in the wallet, and I'm not thinking about relationships. I'm thinking about my future, and I think that was some good advice you gave me about how sometimes you have to wait for the relationship to come to you. So I've been kind of I've been getting really into kind of entrepreneurship. I've been kind of getting into that subculture on Instagram.
Wow. There's a lot of great accounts. I should send you some.
So I'm kind of all in on tire design. So I've started getting some materials. I bought some rubber. I bought a couple of tires.
Wait, are you handcrafting these tires?
Well, spoiler, but yeah, that's the plan. I was thinking.
Oh wow!
I was thinking about kind of this this entrepreneurial kind of crafty culture that we're in. With Pinterest.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. And I was thinking, there's a lot of handcrafted soaps and cigars and whiskeys. And, I think it's about time we had that for tires. So I've kind of been learning the techniques of making them by hand, which is kind of, surprisingly kind of a new idea. So a lot of it's figuring it out, do I sew it? Do I cut the rubber? How does that work? So,
well, I think, not to steal your thunder, but I think you might want to, ideally not, stitch it together. I think maybe start with
a solid chunk.
Yeah, certainly not a bald tire, but like a tire that has a lot of, like a de-treaded tire. I don't know if they make those.
Sure.
You know this better than me. But maybe start with something with a lot of rubber and then carve your designs.
Right.
That's brilliant. I'm sure it's very time consuming.
It's extremely time consuming.
How do you get like a full set of tires to all look the same?
Listen, these are good questions that I'm encountering every day. I mean, I'm at the point now. I'm just kind of learning the artisanal basics of tire making.
Wow. This is a huge undertaking. I'm really proud.
It is, and I'm thinking about my future. You know, my uncle was supporting me a little bit, and also kind of what I did is I took my savings I had, and also taking advice, I put it onto Bitcoin.
Oh wow!
My whole savings account.
You've come around.
So I was doing some reading. You're absolutely right.
Your whole savings account?
Yes. So I had about $10,000 saved up from working at the dealership those years, and
wait, and you put all of it into Bitcoin?
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting an unemployment check, so I'm kind of some of the money I have to keep to go out to eat into bars and stuff, but I'm trying to put a little bit of that money I get each month also into into Bitcoin, because I mean I've been reading and it really is the future. And
sorry, maybe I jumped the shark here and didn't give you enough advice. You don't want to put literally every single cent you have into Bitcoin. It's a very unstable kind of. At least now, I think there's big things coming, but I mean, I wouldn't recommend.
In the words of some of these kind of influencer entrepreneurs, I mean, you can't really found a business without risks. I mean,
right, but
Steve Jobs, Elon Musk,
right, but you wouldn't jump out of an airplane without a parachute.
Jeffrey Bezos.
Bezos, yeah, richest man in town.
Bezos,
yes.
Bezos.
Bezos.
Jeffrey Bezos.
Yes, Amazon, yes.
They all took a lot of risk in what they're doing, and so I think that as an entrepreneur, that's my job, taking risks.
Okay.
I mean, you can pay someone to sit in a desk all day and not take risks. Like most guys do. But I mean,
I take some risks people, sometimes. I mean,
Well, what kind of risks do you take? I mean, really.
Well, I mean, it's in some ways I'd say MVCB is a risk because it's time spent on something that doesn't necessarily guarantee a financial. I mean,
sure,
I haven't spent a ton of money on this project personally, but I mean, like the sweepstakes, I'd say that's a risk, right? I mean,
that is a risk. That's a great example.
We don't. It's kind of like playing the stock market in some ways. Mm-hmm. Like I like to see these sweepstakes as stocks. Mm-hmm. So we essentially bought stocks, but they're very, very high risk stocks.
Yes, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I would say I take risks, but all that is to say, I think to put every single cent into Bitcoin might be. I mean, I don't want to discourage you, but I want to warn you. It fluctuates a lot, right?
Oh, I mean, you're kind of making my day because to be honest, a lot of these people that I look up to, like Jeff or Elon, from the beginning, people were telling them, "Hey, buddy, this isn't going to work." So I kind of see it as a sign of success.
Sure. Yeah, you could look at it that way, I suppose. I don't want blood, if you will, to be on my hands if Bitcoin drops again, because it's kind of it's teetering right now. So it's not exponentially shooting up. It's not downhill.
Right, so it's the right time to buy.
Potentially. I mean,
because I don't know if you know much about bits, but if you're buying it and it's
we've been over this. It's not bits. Like you're not buying bits.
Bitcoins.
Well, you're not buying Bitcoins either. Like I mean, you kind of are and you aren't. It's like the stock market, like we were talking about.
Well, it's like we were talking about with Apples. It's like, sure, at the end of the day, the Apple exists, the Bitcoins exist. It's kind of like arguing. It's kind of like those people who are like, oh, how do we know we really exist? And I'm like, well, you just know. I mean, it's like that with Bitcoins.
Philosophical, yes, but no, it's not quite like Bitcoins. It's very different, because Bitcoins aren't necessarily like you can't tangibly hold Bitcoins. I guess it's kind of like money in general, but
well, we might. Can you hold love?
You can't. That's a great point. Love is, well, I don't know, maybe this is, since we were already so deep down the philosophy train, would you say love is a currency? Do you think Adam would see love as a currency? Might be an interesting song idea to explore. When we meet him, we might have to
love is a currency. I guess in the sense that you want more of it.
Mm-hmm.
That could be one comparison.
Yeah.
Maybe in the sense that it's you get more and you lose some. You lose love and you gain love. I mean, it's kind of like that with money.
God knows I've been down that road.
Yeah.
Oh God. But
with money or love. With money or love.
Well, a bit of both, but we don't have to into that on the podcast right now.
Well, if you want to, I've been kind of on my own emotional, a spin about, what's going on in my life. So I don't know what's been going on with you. Any kind of investments?
It's, to be honest, I've been pretty burnt out with work recently. We have this client who came to us for this branding. I do branding and marketing. I mentioned that last time, but just to get everyone back up to speed, and they were frustrated because we told them, okay, yes, we can take care of your brand, we can give it a facelift, but they, so we're like, okay, we're gonna, give you a typeface you can use, we're gonna give you a logo, we're gonna give you a color palette, all that good stuff, similar to what I do with MVCB Instagram.
Sure.
But then they're like, oh, hang on, you're just using Arial font. We were kind of expecting you to use make your own font. And it's kind of. And I was like, look, you're not coming to the right place. We're not typeface designers. We're graphic designers. And so I'm trying to explain this to them, and they just keep. So, anyways, we're kind of in a bit of a lawsuit right now, and I don't really want to.
Well, can I give you advice, kind of as one a businessman to another?
I don't know if it would be helpful, because you don't. No offense, don't know anything about graphic design, but.
That may be true, but I know about business, and so I guess my advice, take it or leave it, would be if you're making oranges and the client wants lemons, make some lemons.
What does that mean? What are you saying?
Well, I guess I'm just trying to get at
Look, I need you to be on my side with this. I'm upset. I haven't slept for days. I'm barely running on. I've had a few cups of coffee today, but
I didn't realize how severe.
I had to work over the weekend.
So what are you working on building the font?
No, I don't do that. I don't build fonts. Sure. I don't make fonts. Right. I don't design fonts. I'm not a typeface designer. I'm a graphic designer.
Right. So you're more into the designing images, kind of.
Sometimes it depends on the thing. They we might take images of their products. I don't want to call them out on the podcast, because I have to be very careful with what I say. Like I said, we're in a bit of a hairy financial situation. I've been talking with my lawyers, trying to see what they can do, but the client's not happy. They're clearly not happy, and I don't want to get into it too much, but sometimes we supply. We take pictures of their products so that we can use them in the branding, the marketing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess.
So I don't understand where the oranges and lemons come into this. Are you saying we should give them a completely different product than the ones they already do?
No, I was more saying business is often about finding the client's needs and kind of fulfilling them. So
I know I'm in this. I've been doing this for 10 years now.
So I guess it just seems to me from the outside you may be very caught up in doing the image is or maybe finding some new colors to use. But ultimately, it feels like if what they want is a new typeface, it kind of feels like, maybe that's the way out of the situation, is kind of building a typeface.
Potentially, but that's a whole lot more time.
I guess it just seems to me like, all due respect, like, when I just, like, write something in my notebook, I keep a diary notebook. Mm-hmm. In a sense, I'm making a typeface. So it just feels like, we all know what the letters look like.
Right.
We know the shapes of the letters, it's,
Okay, but there's a lot of nuance to typeface design. You have to worry about there's this thing called kerning, which is the space between each individual letter, and you have to make sure all of those letters work together with all the other letters, so there's a lot of...
like in the words?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And then, there's a ton of factors. It's not just, I'm going to draw, something that looks cool right now. It's all these micro adjustments here and there. It's a very, very time-consuming project, and we just don't have that time here, but we delivered, the deliverables that they needed, and they're just not happy with it because we're using a typeface that already exists, which is ludicrous.
It's a good typeface that I always use. I use in my resume, for instance. Papyrus.
Oh my god. Papyrus
I think it just has kind of a rustic feel that I think a lot of the other typefaces are lacking. It's
been used a lot. It's well respected in some regard. It's not... it's very specific, I'll just say that. I don't want to, shoot all over Papyrus, but it's... you can't just slap Papyrus on everything.
No, I would never use it, for instance, for a band logo.
Well, it has been used on band logos, unfortunately.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, good luck with the typeface, good luck on not doing the typeface.
Okay, well, I hope I don't have to do the typeface.
Right.
I appreciate it. Sorry, I snapped a little bit just because I'm very, very frustrated, feeling very overworked.
Well, have you thought about maybe becoming an entrepreneur? It sounds like, the job isn't necessarily reciprocating you very well for your time.
This is a long time coming. And, this might be the place to announce it, but I have been thinking for a while of starting my own private consultancy.
You could call it Zach. Maybe the low consultancy.
I'm knocking around a few ideas. That one's already on there. But I am thinking about exploring that avenue, just sure. Myself, raw dogging it, if you will, out in the wild. But I've been thinking about doing that for 5 years now, and I haven't made much progress. But
the way I see it is,
sometimes you gotta jump.
Make that leap of faith. I just think the most important advice I give you is just make it clear, maybe say something like low design group, in parentheses, not a typeface design group, just for guys like me that maybe aren't as in the business, so that, it just...
Well, my initial response is, to scoff at that, but I think having been down that road before, I never want to go down that road again, so maybe something like that would be good. Yeah, so sorry, that kind of sucked away quite a bit of time, but
no worries. I think we're both, really, growing in money and in spirituality, because, I think, I'm taking this path down kind of a artisanal tire design, and you're kind of taking this path down maybe your own consultancy. And I think that, to compete in this kind of globalized job market, it's not just about what you get, it's about what you give.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Yeah.
So I've been kind of on the schedule where like, okay, so tonight's my working night actually, so I mean it's kind of late, but I usually so what I do is, okay, so let's say this is my working night. I'll probably stop in the gas station on the way home, get a couple of 5-hour energies, and just stay up all night working on tires.
Sometimes you gotta stay up all night.
And then, I try to work a little bit into the day. I get a little bit of sleep. I usually go to bed around 5 a.m., wake up at about 2 p.m., and then I try to get some work done, and then at about 6 p.m. on my non-working nights, I go to a bar, and I kind of, have a good time. I forget about my worries, maybe flirt with a couple of women, maybe do some karaoke, that kind of thing. Usually Uber back home, because it's not okay to, you got to be safe, especially when you're drinking as much as I am. So, and then...
Yeah, especially when you're blacking out and singing Jesus.
It's not every night, man. I mean, what's your problem? I mean,
I just want you to be careful. That's all.
Okay, Mom. And then, that kind of leads me, and then I get a good night's sleep. Wake up
with a hangover.
Wow, I mean, I always take a potassium and drink a Gatorade before I go to bed. So very minimal hangovers. I mean, a little bit of a headache, but I have a strong body. So wake up feeling pretty great. Go on a run, do a protein shake, and that's my work day, which is, what today was. So I work all day, and then I take a break for dinner. I recorded this podcast, and then I go all night. So it's like, it's an every other night kind of thing. And I think if you look at a lot of entrepreneurs, I think they have similar schedules where, they're working hard and they're playing hard, and that's kind of my motto right now is work hard, play hard.
Yeah, it's a good motto.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes. I mean, I think you can work a little too hard and also play a little too hard.
I mean, I think it's good to maybe have... sometimes I'll take kind of a spiritual 15-minute break, where I kind of do push-ups and kind of think.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried meditating before, but I'm a little too active, so I kind of see the push-ups as kind of a meditative practice.
Well, I guess you could sort of ground yourself, if you will, by doing push-ups. I could see that kind of work.
You're even closer to the ground.
That's not quite what I mean. I guess I'm meaning grounding in the spiritual sense.
Sure.
Right.
Like the spiritual ground. Sure.
Well, I think you're getting what I'm picking up on.
Yes, and starting to lose some steam, I'm going to be honest. So I think it's time for those 5-hour energies right about. But This has been a pleasure. I'm really excited to finish the album.
Yep.
Definitely. Thank you to our fans for being patient. I think we have some fun things coming up. We're considering a face reveal. We've been kind of talking about live show options. So stay tuned for that.
Well, we recently did do a karaoke,
yes.
Maroon 5 karaoke. Not our song, so we couldn't call it MVCB, but I think it's an important first step. Really.
I think the chemistry we had in stage was amazing, and the reception we got from that audience was incredible. Honestly, one of the best moments of my whole year. Just on stage, not a care in the world.
I agree.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Stay tuned. Plenty more to come. I'm trying to get some stickers and a website together for my tire business, so look out for that. I'm thinking of Joe's Tires, or maybe Joe's Custom Tires, or maybe Artisanal Tires.
Maybe JCT. That kind of has a car-ish sort of feel to it, because you know how a lot of cars have letters and numbers. So JCT, Joe's Custom Tires. I think that has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, there's something there.
And, I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but maybe we could collab in a sense. If you ever need some design or, branding consultancy, marketing consultancy. I wouldn't recommend going to the brand that I currently work for right now, or the agency that I currently work for, just because work has been kind of tough, and God knows I don't want another headache.
Sure.
But when I'm on my own, don't know when that'll be. Potentially we can work together. Now I know you're a little tight as far as budget goes, so
sure, but we could kind of it'd be cool to collaborate, maybe get or give. If if you're in your new design firm, if any tire related jobs came in, we could I can maybe help you out, on the cheap.
Yeah, this could be a both friendship but also a professional sort of collaboration.
Yes, I guess. Like MVCBP in many ways.
In many ways, yes. So I guess just to wrap things up, we're looking to. I'm really interested in making some MVCB and MVCBP T-shirts. I got some great designs in mind for that. The next album we're going to be doing is the Overexposed Commentary. Very excited for that. I think Joe is going to do the voice of Adam Levine, and then I'm going to do the other guy. So stay tuned for that. We're going to try to crank through that. I think that'll be very insightful. We talked about this a little bit on the last podcast, but I'm really excited for that because we, in a sense, become those people.
It's kind of like how actors, if they're studying the role of someone famous, like Abraham Lincoln, will revisit his words.
Yes, right, exactly. Yeah. So that'll be fun, and 2 songs left on V. We're gonna try to keep up with the podcast as best we can. Like we've said, lots of life changes recently, so we haven't been able to.
And speaking of life changes, just a moment before you sign off, I just want to make it clear, I don't know if my comments early enough were clear, but I am single officially now. I'm allowed to date. I'm ready to date, and if, anyone out there who's listening is interested,
okay.
just feel free to reach out.
We probably shouldn't do that on the podcast. This is not the time or place. This is not a...
Well, I mean, it's no different from like a dating app. I mean,
it's very different.
I mean, I guess I should say, obviously over age.
Okay, no. We can't do this on the podcast.
And women.
We can't. This is not. We're not trying to start relationships with fans on the podcast. This is completely unprofessional.
Well,
nix that. We'll probably end up cutting this from the final cut. I'm very sorry. This is completely inappropriate.
Well, I mean, I think what starts as just a fan.
We're gonna have to have a talk about this afterwards. And
we're gonna have a talk about this now. I mean, I think what starts as a fan relationship can turn into a very healthy relationship. I mean,
potentially.
Did you know that Yoko Ono liked the Beatles? And they had a great relationship.
Yeah, a lot of people like a lot of people, but you don't go fishing for people on the I mean, you can do that on your own personal Instagram, your own personal time, but MVCB time.
Well, I mean, I don't see how it's any different from just, mentioning that we would like to play a show. It's we're kind of putting out. Excuse me, I'm getting a call, but I'll take it later. So, it's Helen. But anyway,
you can answer that on.
No, we still talk occasionally as friends, but I'll call her back. I don't know if I'll have time tonight. Maybe on the way to the gas station to get the 5-hour energies.
This is a disaster.
I don't see why this is a disaster. I mean, I think that you're kind of being really uptight. I mean, I understand that you haven't dated very many people.
Okay, look, I've been single for a very long time, but I'm not, going on the podcast. I'm not going on the MVCB Instagram and being like, ooh, ladies, I'm single. Here's my number. Pop yours in the comments.
Well, maybe you would have found someone to date if you had done so earlier.
I'm on... I try to meet people in person, and,
How is this different than a dating app? Where's the... I mean... you're trying to cancel me or whatever.
That's like going on LinkedIn and saying, "Oh, ladies, I'm single." It's not the place for the podcast about Maroon 5 cover band podcast, and Adam and Crew is not the place to be like, "Hey, ladies, I'm single, date me." Completely inappropriate.
Listen, you spent a long time today talking about your job, which has nothing to do with the podcast.
I admit that. We can cut that from the podcast.
I didn't want to say anything about it, but I'm just saying that I think this is a great way. I think there's a lot of female fans out there, and I think this is a great way to meet some women. And I think that, honestly, man, I would recommend that, you do it as well, because, I mean, you...
Okay, I don't want something to happen and the whole thing goes down in flames. I'm worried about MVCB. I'm not jealous, okay?
What do you think's gonna... I mean, do you not trust me? I mean, I think that
it's not that I don't trust you. I'm just saying I don't...
I just feel like I'm being canceled, and it's like,
I'm not canceling you.
Well, I just feel like
What would you be canceled for?
Apparently, I'm canceled for, wanting to date women.
Okay, look, I didn't go on my Twitter and say, "Oh, cancel Joseph," because he, And we haven't released the podcast yet, so we can still cut this.
Sure, we can cut this, but...
I don't even know why the thing's still going.
We can just cut it at the point that I say, right after I say, "Hey, I'm looking to date people."
No, we can cut it right when we say, "Oh, okay, it's been a great time. Thank you so much for listening."
Well, we never said that, but...
Well, I'm saying it now. Thank you so much, MVCB.
Look, this is your problem, okay? You think that you're better than me because you don't date people.
Look, I'm professional.
You think that wake up call, a lot of professional entrepreneurs, date people. They have sex. They're people. They have needs, and I think that you're kind of coming at it from this angle of like, oh, because I'm a celebrity with MVCB, it's not okay for me to, date a fan. And it's like, I guess I just, who am I supposed to date? Because, the way this project is going, it's like, it may be a point where there's not a woman in the world who doesn't know about it.
No, I mean, we can look on our Instagram and see how many followers we have. We don't have 7-8 billion.
Well, I mean, that just shows, some ignorance, because, I mean, not everyone in the world's a woman, so it'd be like half. It'd be like 4.
Right. I mean, we don't have 1 billion people following us even. I mean, full disclosure, we don't even have 1 million people following us. We're trying to get up to that. I'm trying to do more marketing. I'm trying to get the message out there. I'm trying to plug some shows.
Listen, I just don't think that there's any reason that we need to cut this, because I think this is real. I think this is giving the fans what they want, and I think that, how is it different if a fan saw this and she reached out and she said, "I'm a, 25-year-old, gymnast, and I'm reaching out because I heard that you're looking for someone to date."
Why would she say 25-year-old gymnast? What is she going to do, acrobats for us on the podcast, which no one fucking sees? They just listen to? Because, newsflash, this is a podcast. It's not a goddamn TV reel.
What does this have to do with being a now you're just talking about different stuff. I'm just saying that we could meet, we could go on a wonderful date.
And you should, on Tinder or Hinge or Bumble or whatever, thing you use.
Well, first off, I am, although I'm not very, I don't know.
Look, if you need me to take some pictures for your Tinder or whatever you're
This
using.
isn't what it's about. This is about, look, if a fan reached out, an MVCB fan, chances that they'd like Hinder are 1,000 times higher. I'm sorry, but I don't want to go on another date with some vegan, chick who's like, "Oh, what kind of music are you into?" I'm into, Tame Impala.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's nothing wrong with finding your people, and this is a way to find your people. I mean, in a lot of ways, meeting someone through the podcast and dating them, it's like meeting someone through a friend group in a lot of ways. Everyone's on the same page, you all like the same things. I think it's a wonderful way to meet people. And frankly, to anyone out there who's listening, I just want to say that Zach is single as well.
Oh my God. No, we can't do this on the podcast. I am single, yes. I am, willing to mingle, as they say, but not through the podcast. I don't want... Yeah, this is not the place to do this.
I mean, this is... Look, if this was my tire company, I would say, yeah, this is the wrong place to do it. But an MVCBP, I think, is the perfect place. Because the tire one doesn't make sense. It's like, oh no, you're looking for tires.
Right, and they're looking for music here. They're not looking for.
But we don't even play music on the podcast. They're looking to get to know us.
Well, right, but they
like in a dating sense.
Not a dating sense. It's very different. When I listen to a podcast, I'm not like, I wonder if I should date this person.
Well, it depends on the. I mean, I don't really listen to podcasts, but if they're hot,
hot or not, I'm just not gonna hit them up and say, oh, let's date.
So you just. So, there's, a tiny sliver of people you would even consider dating?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not sure what you're getting at.
Well, it's okay, you can't date people that you meet through your podcast. You can't date people that you listen to their podcast. It's fine
if you meet them through the podcast, it's almost but you shouldn't announce that to them.
It's almost like you're saying that there can be no overlap between podcasts and relationships because... then you're going to get canceled or something, It just feels like...
That's not what I'm saying. I don't know why you're bringing canceling up.
Well, I just think cancel culture is a real problem.
Cancel culture is not... I think it's actually important, to cancel certain people.
I think that, canceling someone, it's like, it's just you all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is the worst person that's ever existed, and
I'm not trying to cancel you.
It's just like, I am a good man, and I haven't done anything wrong. All I've done is want to date someone. It's feminism gone wild.
That's not what this is. We can, we have the potential of getting canceled if, you put your name out there on the podcast, which is completely unprofessional, by the way, and then you start a relationship with them, and then, whatever, yada yada, and then maybe the whole thing goes up in flames.
Listen, every woman that I've had no relationship with has deeply loved me to the point that even after we broke up, I'm the one who breaks up with them. So I don't know what you're worried about.
I'm just saying, I do not feel comfortable.
Could jealous women, maybe band together
let
to
me
cancel me on
put
Twitter
it this way.
or something?
Are you gonna start putting your picture on, the Instagram and being like, oh, here's me, I'm single, here's my number?
Not unless it was maybe incorporated into an album cover or something.
Yeah, but I would never do that. I have full control of the creative direction of this project.
Well, I mean, never say never, right?
I'm never going to let it happen.
Well, I mean, I think that people like bands that are relatable, and I think it's very relatable wanting to date someone. So, I mean, I don't know what kind of world you live in, it's like, I mean... But in my world, it's okay to date people. Yeah, I just want to say to anyone out there who's kind of living in fear of cancel culture.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, it's okay to date. It's okay to date people. It's okay to, I think it's okay to say that a woman's pretty. Still, I think that's
no
still
one said
allowed.
It's not. No one's canceling someone because they think someone's pretty. It's not happening.
Well, frankly, I think part of the reason you're canceling me is because...
I'm not canceling you.
Is that you're worried that, I'll date a lot more people than you do.
I'm not... I already said I'm not jealous. I'm not, I'm concerned for this project, but I don't care who you date, to be quite frank.
So it wouldn't matter if it was a fan.
It could be a fan, okay? But you should not announce and, go to great lengths to put yourself out there on the podcast. That's unprofessional. So I think we should wrap this up, and I'm saying MVCB family, thank you very much for listening to this episode 4 of MVCB.
We do not stand for cancel culture. I would say that again. We do not stand for cancel culture. We oppose it. If you're interested in dating me, please drop a message to the Instagram. I'm not going to put my number in here.
Okay, I'm cutting this portion, by the way.
Well, cut whatever you like, buddy, because you're not looking too good here either.
Well, this is my podcast.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of people have come out and said, enough is enough with this cancel culture bullshit. And I'm adding my name to that list, and so...
Well, I'm cutting this out of the podcast, so no one's going to hear your cries for help or whatever.
Well, that is literally canceling.
That is not canceling. It's
that is a freedom of speech issue.
Jesus Christ, it's not a freedom of speech issue. You can put whatever you want on your account. I'm not canceling your account.
I'm just as much a member of this band as you are.
I know.
And if you can talk about, typeface design...
Look, I can cut that out too. That's fine.
I can talk about women.
You can... Sure, we've both talked about women respectfully on this podcast. I'm not saying that we can't talk about really anything. I mean, I would like to keep it to Adam.
I think that it's important that we make this clear, that this is a free speech podcast, and we will respect that sanctity. And in the same way that, when you exercise your freedom of speech to suggest that maybe I drink too much, I exercise my freedom of speech by saying, I don't think so. And that, there's a lot of problems in this country, and a lot of them could be resolved through some mutual respect and realizing that
two people oppose each other fundamentally on something. They're not going to get along in any sort of space.
You can still keep a healthy dialogue, but what you can't keep a healthy dialogue on is cancel culture when you're trying to destroy the other side. I mean, I think that that's the biggest threat that's facing America is cancel culture.
It's not a threat. Okay, look, go on 4chan if you want to talk about anything.
What's 4chan?
4chan is an anonymous website where you can basically post whatever you want.
Like Facebook?
Not really, but I mean, if you want...
I'm not really an online guy, but my beliefs are my beliefs.
This is all online. This is an online podcast. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, I don't listen to podcasts. I mean, I read the occasional blog.
Then what are you worried about? This is the podcast crowd you're trying to cater to.
What are we talking about? We're talking... Okay.
We're wrapping this up.
We are wrapping this up. That's true. And I think that we have a lot of talking to do because I don't feel like our beliefs are aligned at all. So I need to go work on my tires, but I just want you to know that this has changed the way that I see you, frankly.
Okay, well, that's totally fine. I mean, we can talk about this off the podcast.
Okay.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad at you. I'm saying that actually, no, I am a little bit mad. I'm a little perturbed because I thought this was supposed to be a professional space for us to, discuss Maroon 5. Shut the fuck up, I'm talking.
Okay.
This is supposed to be a space where we talk about Maroon 5, Adam Levine and crew, and occasionally personal problems, which I think are important, by the way. I care about you.
Okay.
And I
care about you.
And honestly, I think that's beautiful. And I'm tearing up a little bit because I feel very...
They're trying to divide us, but we stand united.
Yes, and once we trim out some of the fat in this podcast, I think it'll be very...
I think this has been our best episode. I think we've really talked about things in a way we haven't.
I think we've dived deep, especially in the beginning, when you were talking about Lost Stars and Imagine. I think those were good moments for sure. I think we can just, start. We can trim off that part where you.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Well.
Okay. Well, I'm leaving.
I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do with this podcast.
Do you even edit them anymore?
I give it to Jim to edit.
Oh, because I mean.
My roommate.
Right,
and Jim. Especially with this,
I've met Jim.
Okay, especially with this.
He's good with computers.
He's very good with computers.
Yeah,
he's a whiz. He's who got me into Bitcoin, actually.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'd say decision's up to Jim.
Jim, if you're listening, cut that part out about, the single part.
Jim, if you're listening, I'm going to exercise my freedom of speech to say that
Jim, I literally live with you.
You're free to do what you want. I'm not trying to control anyone.
Jim, if you keep this in, we are through. I am leaving and going to live somewhere else.
I just want to say that unlike some people in this podcast, I respect your decision to choose, Jim, and I think that, I'm not worried about what you're going to choose because I think that, I think freedom of speech is going to win out tonight, and that's kind of the note that I'm going to end this podcast.
Okay, well, we're wrapping up. Thank you very much, MVCB family.
Thank you, MVCB family. Thank you.
Thank you to Adam and crew.
Thank you, Adam.
You're a constant inspiration.
Adam Levine, we love you. We do it for you.
We do it for you,
Say
Adam.
hi to the kids for us.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm hopping off, and when we turn off this mic, don't attack me. I'm busy.
I'm not going to attack you.
I should have been gone an hour ago.
You should have been gone an hour ago. We would have saved a lot of trouble.
Well, I'm leaving right now, and I'm getting my 5-hour energy, and we can talk about this tomorrow.
Well, I hope that you and your tires go well.
Thank you.
I sincerely mean that. I think it's
thank
a cool
you.
project.
Well, let's shake hands, and we can.
All right.
Okay. Oh, well, I guess they can't see us, but all right. Signing off, MVCB family.